Hello, everyone. Welcome to the All Things Good podcast. Once again, I am your host, Jovanna, and I'm excited to tap into today's topic. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am so glad to be with you today. Let me tell you that I went through the only struggle last week. I apparently have become aware that I have sinuses. I suddenly have sinuses. And let me tell you, I did not react in the way that I probably, or maybe others have reacted to having sinuses. I was completely lost. I didn't know what was going on. I was so congested that I was getting headaches. I was getting dizzy. I was feeling nauseous. And when I went to the doctors, they said, it's your sinuses. And I'm like, what? Suddenly I have sinuses? Like, where did this come from? And so now I'm aware that I have sinuses. So what am I going to do now? I have to be prepared. I have to prepare myself with Zyrtec and Claritin and nasal decongestants in my backpack, in my purse, so that I am prepared to win this war with allergies. You're probably like, why are you talking about this? I'm talking about it because today I want to talk about self-awareness. I want to talk about awareness. And it's funny how this happened to me, right? Because now I'm aware that I have sinuses and then I know how to move forward in my life. Unfortunately, being prepared with all these things that combat allergies and sinuses. But are you self-aware? And I'm not talking about being self-aware of sinuses. That's the surface level. I'm talking about a deeper level. Are you self-aware? Many of us are not aware. We're not aware of when we do things, how we do things, and why we do things. We're not aware of our behaviors, of how our behaviors affect others. We're not aware of our personalities. We're not even aware of the personalities that we've picked up along the way. Let's be honest. Many of us have not been taught self-awareness. We have not been taught to look at ourselves and look at the things that make us as an individual, the things that bring us to the personality that we have, the things that cause us to do the things that we do and value the things that we value, our emotions, our belief systems, our thoughts. We're never really taught to look at these things. And so ultimately we grow up with other people's personalities. We grow up with other people's belief systems, and we take that on our day-to-day life. And as we begin to come around different people in our lives, we begin to adjust to them. So we're acting as chameleons because we don't know who we are. And because we don't know who we are, we're so quick to get lost in everyone else. But today, I want to help you. I want to help you learn the levels of self-awareness and how we can bring about change in our lives. I want to help you to see what someone looks like when they're not self-aware versus someone who is self-aware, how they may act, the things that they may do. I want to help you learn how to develop self-awareness, and I also want you to learn the benefits of becoming self-aware. Many of us want change. We want to see change in our lives. We want to get back to our old self. We want to get back to our authentic self or our new self. And in order for you to do that, you need to be aware. And I need you to know that there are 4 levels of awareness. The first one is the unconscious not knowing. What that means pretty much is you don't know that you don't know. So let me give you an example, because I like to give examples to help people have a better understanding of what I am saying. There was a time when we were doing a soul detox book and we were talking about love languages. And my friend had made it known to me that I don't give her love in the love language that she operates in, which is gifts. My love language is quality time, words of affirmation, and physical touch. I'm not a gifter. That's not my love language. And I personally don't need to receive gifts to feel loved. But she does. She likes gifts and she likes to give gifts. And so she made it aware to me that I wasn't operating in her love language. And so that is the perfect example of I didn't know. I didn't know that I wasn't a gifter. I didn't know that I wasn't operating in the love language that she typically receives love in. And so that is, I don't know that I don't know. Another example could be you are amongst your friends and someone says to you, you're constantly cutting me off when I talk and I don't like that. And a lot of people are not aware that they're doing that. And so right then and there, your friend might say, wow, I didn't realize that I was cutting people off when I talk. And now they're self-aware. So this level of awareness requires someone else to bring this to your attention. It could either be through someone else. It could be through a revelation. It could be through you reading a book. It could be through an experience, an example, a game, whatever the case might be. You learning or getting to know someone else, you become aware that you weren't aware. Now, this level of awareness is important because, again, this is being brought to your attention through others around you, through things around you. And you have to pay attention to these things, especially if you care about those around you, which brings it to the next level of consciousness, which is now you are aware that you didn't know. And so this level is actually interesting because in this level, people have two decisions. There's two paths you can take. You can say, oh, well, that's just who I am. I'm not going to change and keep going the same direction you were going in. Or you can say, wow, I really want to be a different person. I want to be a better friend. I want to be a better mother, a better partner, a better coworker, whatever the case might be. And something sparks within you and the law of readiness comes about. So that means that you're ready to change. You're ready to take this thing by the horns and just face it and do what you need to do to overcome it. Now, this is the level of awareness that many of us come to a pause because we don't want to do the work. It's important because a lot of us can have that awareness. A lot of us can say, wow, I realize that I operate in this, or that I do these things, or I react this way. But if there's no change or action to this awareness, if you're not looking to bring about transformation or change or growth, then you remain stagnant. So once you become aware of something, once you become aware of, hey, I realized that I love painting. I didn't realize that I was a great painter. And now I realize that I am. So do you begin to cultivate those gifts? Or do those gifts go to the wayside and just sit there on the shelf and collect dust? You see, so becoming self-aware is not always becoming aware of the bad things, but also becoming aware of the good things. You want to be able to open your eyes and see the things that make you you, that bring about you, that bring about your passion and your purpose. Okay, so now you are aware that you weren't aware, and now you have the decision to make. And whether you're ready or not, each come with a cause and effect. Each has a consequence. And depending on your point of life, of where you are, whether it comes to relationally, whether it comes to developing independently, whether it comes to working with different people, that's up to you. Wherever you are in your life, you have the decision to make on whether or not you're going to become ready to make that change, or you're just going to stay the same. And so the next level of awareness is the conscious knowing, which now you know that you don't know. And so now you are stimulated. Now there's something in your mind to say that I want to change. And so that's what we just discussed. The next level of awareness is the unconscious knowing. Now you've made it your business to cultivate your art gift. Now you've made it your business to become more empathetic. Now you've made it your business to become more of a gifter in your love language. And now it's coming to you naturally. And so that is the last level of awareness. This is the level of accomplishment where you've become aware, you've done the work, you've made the change, and now you're doing it like it's second nature. It's just happening. It's flowing. And there's nothing forcing it. It's just flowing. And that's the place that you want to be in. And so I hope you understand, by understanding the levels of awareness, how it plays an important role in the ability of you to bring about change in your life and possibly even those around you. So you can take this on the flip side. You can help someone else begin to bring about change, but you can't force them. What you can do is present to them an end goal. For example, your kids. Maybe you realize that, they're not much of a sharer. They're very selfish. And you bring to their attention, hey, you shouldn't be selfish, because when you become unselfish, when you become selfless, then this happens. There should be a reward, an end goal for the person or the individual to want to see change. So let's give another example. Let's say, for instance, you're in a relationship and you realize that your partner is not empathetic. And you may express to them, if you could understand a bit more of what I'm going through, maybe we'll have less arguments. And that could be a light bulb in their mind to say, I don't want to argue. And if I can be more empathetic, then maybe we can lessen the arguments. So I hope you see how bringing an end goal can bring about a desire for someone to change. But ultimately, this isn't about anybody else. This is about you. Are you looking to change? Are you aware of the things you need to change? Are you aware of the things that need to remain the same and the things that you need to cultivate? So here are examples of why becoming self-aware is beneficial. Because you're looking at it from both sides of the spectrum. You're seeing the things that need to change and how to change them. And then you're seeing the things that are good and how to cultivate them, how to expand in them, and potentially even monetize them. Because a lot of the things that we have going on for ourselves could be used to bring about businesses and finances. So becoming self-aware is very broad. It's not just personally, it's financially, it's, relationally. There's many aspects to it. So now you're probably like, okay, great. Now I realize the importance of self-awareness and I need to know how to develop this self-awareness. What can I do? What can you do to begin to become more self-aware and more successful in your change and more successful in your relationships and even more successful in knowing who you are? The first thing you need to do is keep track of your thoughts. I cannot express how important your thoughts are in developing your self-awareness. Because when you realize your thoughts and your thought process, you realize the reason why you do things. And that's where you want to go to, the why. Why am I behaving this way? Why am I acting this way? Why do I like the things that I like? Where did these belief systems come from? These are all the questions that you want to ask yourself. Where did these habits come from? Where did these feelings come from? Why did they come about? And when you start to see your behaviors, your emotions, your thought patterns, all these things, at first it's probably not going to be easy to accept, but you have to accept it. And you have to look at yourself objectively. You really shouldn't dwell on your mistakes or the decisions you've made or the behaviors that you have given, but you should consider how they have affected you and affected those around you. Because when you begin to consider these things, it should spark and stimulate a desire for you to want to change. And you also want to challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to do the new thing that you're looking to do. So let's say, for instance, going back to the example of my friend when she stated that I wasn't a gifter, and in order for her to feel loved, she should receive more gifts. So I have to challenge myself now. It was my decision to say whether or not I wanted to challenge myself to begin to buy things or just remain the same. But because I want to be a good friend and I want to show them that I love them, I will begin to challenge myself to become more giving, to give things more, to give gifts more. And so that's what it looks like to challenge yourself in the things that you become aware of. Or if you're looking at it from a positive perspective, then you want to challenge yourself to become more cultivated or more developed in your gifting, whether it be writing, poetry, art, whatever the case might be, finances, business. If you become aware that you are good at something, then you want to challenge yourself to become experienced in that level of awareness. And so now that we looked at, what self-awareness is, the levels of self-awareness, and how to develop self-awareness, let's look at what it looks like to become self-aware. What does it look like when someone is operating from the place of self-awareness versus someone who isn't self-aware? So you're going to notice that when someone isn't self-aware, they make impulsive decisions. They do things without considering the consequences. And someone who is self-aware will pause, reflect, and think before making a decision, before spending money on that $1,000 item that they probably should not be spending on. So someone who isn't self-aware will not even realize what they're doing and why they're doing it. But someone who is aware will begin to say, wait, I really don't need to buy this right now. I really don't need to do this right now. And they become to be a bit more responsible in their decision making. Someone who isn't self-aware may seem like they are not considerate of others. So they do things, they spend money, they, make life-changing decisions without considering anyone else because it's about them. And someone who is self-aware will consider their actions, will consider their behaviors, will consider their decisions and how it would affect those around them and those who they love. Those who are not self-aware will lack compassion and empathy. You can really see when someone lacks compassion and empathy because you see it in their attitude, you see it in their behavior, you see it in the way they speak. They aren't picking up social cues, they aren't picking up behavior, they aren't picking up body language or body movement. And let's be honest, if you're not self-aware of yourself, you're not going to be self-aware of others. You're not going to be aware of how your actions and the way you're speaking affects those around you. Someone who is self-aware will have compassion, they'll have empathy, they are aware of body language, they're aware even of the tone, the tonality of voices, how things change. And it's not about walking on eggshells with people. It's about really being considerate and being compassionate to the way other people think and the way they feel. Those who are not self-aware will play the victim constantly. They will blame others for their behaviors, for the things that are happening in their life. And those who are self-aware will realize that the role that they play in their life, the things that they did, the decisions they made that led them to where they are now. You will also find that those who are not self-aware are often the center of the attention. They are the center of drama, center of issues, because they are not aware of anything. They're not aware of how they are affecting those around them. And so they are often the center of issues. They're the common denominator when it comes to problems and issues. So look back at the list that I just gave you. Look back at the characteristics and the personality type and see if you fall into any of these categories. You might not see yourself because you're probably blinded to it. Maybe you want to ask those around you, hey, do you find me maybe being the center of attention or constantly blaming others for my issues and situations? It's good to have input outside of ourselves. So there's so much that you can get from learning to be self-aware. And I hope that I've guided you and directed you towards the right direction and learning self-awareness, learning the importance of it. And, because it's not just for yourself. It's for those around you as well, because we're always going to be connected to someone. You should be connected to someone. You should not be isolated. You should not be a loner. You should be amongst other people because ultimately we need people. And so I hope this helped you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I am more than willing to take questions and provide those answers for you. And if I don't have the answers, then I'll be sure to get those answers for you because we're always learning. I don't know everything. I don't want to know everything. And I'm never going to pretend like I know everything. If I don't know it, then we'll just look it up together. We'll find the answers together because that's what I'm here for. So if you want to reach me, you can reach me at mymentoladvisor@gmail.com. That is MYMENTALAD, V as in Victor, ISOR @gmail.com. And you can submit your questions there, or you can actually just answer through this podcast. Once again, I am your host, and I'll talk to you soon. Well, that about wraps up this episode. I want to thank you so much for listening to the All Things Good podcast. I hope that you share and send with those around you. And remember to keep your mind focused on all things good. Until next time, I'm your host, Jovanna Sugrio.